Does consciousness continue on once our physical form stops functioning, or does it perhaps end the moment we do? On today's episode, I'll tell you the near-death story of Pam Reynolds, a well-known music industry professional who would be pronounced dead on an operating table, bear witness to her own lifeless body from above, and return to this world with accounts from the other side. Does that freak you out?
Todd, I don't know if I can handle this story.
This story is going to be pretty intense. This story is about a near-death experience. First off, what is a near-death experience? Also known as, Tim?
NDE. Sunday. Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. Come experience near-death.
Near-death experience with Todd, Josh, and Tim.
Brought to you by
Created by Human.
As you know, Todd, this is one of my favorite topics. I bring it up like every time I see you on a Thursday night.
You do. You always bring up near-death.
I do. I love it.
You love near-death. So we're going to chat about it.
Thank you.
Here we go. NDE. First off, what is near-death experience? Also referred to as NDE. And how do peer-reviewed scientific journals define an NDE? For an NDE to occur, a person must have limited brain function, yet still have a sensory experience without full use of their physical senses. In the United States alone, about 9 million people have reported experiencing an NDE. Per these scientific journals, several recurring elements must occur to classify the experience as an NDE, such as out-of-body experience, accurate visual perception while out of the body, accurate auditory perception while out of the body, feelings of peace and painlessness, light phenomena, encounter with a loving white light, life review, being in another world, encountering other beings, tunnel experience, precognition. Now that we have understood what classifies an NDE, let's talk about the Pam Reynolds case.
Is her name Pam or is it Pamela?
I mean, no one's named Pam. It's always Pamela.
Does she look great running in slow motion down the front of a beach, holding a life preserver?
Yeah, that's different, Pam.
Oh.
No, not Pamela Anderson. Well, I will say this, though. Pam Reynolds, some earlier pictures. Dude, Pam Reynolds in her early photos, she was kind of a knockout, man.
Let me look her up.
I looked her up. She's all right.
You're not into her?
Not really.
Well, you know what? Maybe her history will make you into her.
Okay. Now you got me.
Now you have me, Todd. Do not become Potiphar's wife, Pam.
I don't. Yeah.
That one
That
flew right over. Sorry. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah. No,
I got that.
I know. I figured right after I said it. Yeah.
I'm following.
Well, you guys are nerds. All right, let's get into Pam's story here. Pam was a singer-songwriter and the owner of the popular recording studio Southern Tracks in Atlanta, Georgia. Her studio recorded huge artists such as Bruce Springsteen, Pearl Jam, and REM, just to name a few.
Collective Soul?
It's not on my list. Probably.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe. Not many people outside of the music world would know her by name, but that would soon change in the summer of 1991. At the age of 35, Pam would begin experiencing symptoms of dizziness, loss of speech, and begin having difficulty moving certain body parts.
Like she can't move her fingers or her toes, or she can't move her head around, or
I don't know. It just says that she had difficulty moving certain body parts. I've had situations of migraines and even spells of passing out. And I know that when this does happen, you just feel out of body. It's very disorienting. It's an odd feeling. So even moving certain body parts, yeah, Josh, you're right. It kind of goes, really your limbs just kind of seize up, your hands seize up. You can even have difficulty walking. Pam stated in an interview, "I was in Virginia Beach, Virginia with my husband. We were promoting a new record and I forgot how to talk. I've got a big mouth. I never forget how to talk." Her physician referred her to a neurologist and got a CAT scan, which would reveal that Pam had a large aneurysm in her brain. Because of the difficult position of the aneurysm, Pam was predicted to have no chance of surviving the surgery for its removal. At last resort, Robert F. Spetzler, a neurosurgeon, decided that a rarely performed procedure known as a hypothermic cardiac arrest could improve Pam's chances of surviving the surgical removal of the aneurysm. She is as deeply comatose as you can be and still be alive, Spetzler commented. During this procedure, also known as standstill operation, Pam's body temperature was lowered to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Her breathing and heartbeat would stop, and the blood was drained from her head. Her eyes were closed with tape, and small earplugs with speakers were placed into her ears. These speakers emitted audible clicks, which were used to check the function of the brainstem to ensure that she had a flat EEG. This would indicate a non-responsive brain before the operation proceeded. The operation was a success, and Pam recovered completely. The total surgery lasted about 7 hours, with few complications along the way.
First of all, this surgery is a feat of humankind I had no idea existed.
Incredible.
The fact that they had to bring her down to 50 degrees, this is like a sci-fi movie here. I mean, this is, wow. I didn't know they could do this.
I know, and what's crazy about this, Tim, is how does someone come up with this? Who's the first person that they go, hey, Bob, hey, come here real quick. I got to try something out. I just got to try something out, okay? I'm going to lower your temperature to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to slow your breathing and stop your heart and drain all the blood from your head. You cool?
This is crazy.
She did mention, she said, when we were at the beach, me and my husband, I forgot how to talk. I've had that happen where I have looked at myself in the mirror before and I knew within my mind that it was me. But some other part of me was saying, who are you? How did you get in this body? Like I didn't recognize myself, but I knew it was me. Very interesting. So I've had that happen 3 times. 3 times that's happened to me. For me, I have a little cyst in the left side of my brain. I take seizure medication that helps kind of control it a little bit, but it is the most bizarre experience ever. And it's hard to explain to somebody unless you've had it happen. So when she mentions, I forgot how to talk, when she mentions just being disoriented and confused and not really knowing what's going on, I get it. I've been there, and I'm sure others have too. It is a bizarre feeling.
Without a doubt.
Soon after the surgeons began to lower her body temperature to 50 degrees, it was about the time that Pam believed she noticed a tunnel and bright light. She eventually flatlined completely as the surgeons drained the blood out of her head. Pam reported that during the operation, she heard a sound like a natural D that seemed to pull her out of her body and allowed her to float above the operating room and watch the doctors perform the operation. What do you think? What is a natural D?
I need a piano, but
The tuning?
yeah. Let's look at guys who are monks,
That's what I was
right?
gonna
And what
say.
do they do?
Yep.
They chant, right? And they're down right at a D, something like that, and it's going through a cavernous cave. And then what happens? They have an out-of-body experience. They ascend, or whatever you want to call it, enlightenment. Anyway, besides the point. Going back to Pam, you said the first few things. It's like every time you said it was like ding, yep, that's the one. The common denominators with people who've had near-death experiences, they're all the same. It's like this loving light, this, I can hear the doctor, so keep going, Todd. She had one. I believe her.
So she said she could hear conversations between the operating room staff.
Mm-hmm.
Even though she had earphones in her ears, which were playing a loud clicking noise many times per second in order to monitor her brain function, Pam said, I heard a female voice say, her arteries are too small. And Dr. Spetzler, I think it was him, said, use the other side. Now, Pam claimed that during this time, she felt more aware than normal.
Ding.
And her vision was more focused and clearer than normal vision.
Ding. Everybody says that.
Everyone says that. She reported seeing a surgical saw, but said it looked like an electric toothbrush, which was apparently a spot-on description. During her near-death experience, she says she chatted with her dead grandmother, her uncle,
always happens,
who escorted her back to the operating room. She says, as they looked down on her body, she could hear the Eagles song Hotel California playing in the operating room as the doctor started her heart.
Very common. Did you know that AC/DC is one of some doctors' favorites because it helps them with like brain surgeries and stuff? That's like
And I wonder too if this is generational. Like I wonder, like for us, will it be like, Nirvana's Smell Like Teen Spirit? Like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I was back and I was like, and I know.
Jenny's got a gun.
Oh, that'd be a great one. You know what else would be a good one? Little Dave Matthews, Crash into me. Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
So she stated that her body looked like a train wreck, and she said she didn't want to return. My uncle pushed me in, she says, laughingly. And when I hit the body, the line in the song was, "You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave." And I opened my eyes and said, that is really insensitive.
Remember, I chimed up really big time with the, that she had basically felt more real, more aware.
That seemed to make you happy.
Well, people have said that they not only feel more alive, which is interesting, but that they had been there before. It is like we are home. It's as if you say, oh, this place, which is mind-boggling. We've talked about this before, Todd, where there are people out there that basically say, oh, no, I think we're all living in a coded existence, simulated existence.
Yeah.
And that really seems to happen with near-death experiences, that the matrix is opened and they've been brought back home and they go, oh, this place, it's more real. The love feels better. The world is more comforting. The world has a lot of care for you, this new dimension that you're in. Mm-hmm. And it's phenomenal. And it makes you go, well, I hope that is the truth. This is exciting. At least we have some people that can come back and tell you a story, even if it's really just your brain doing all its synapses and firing off the way it's supposed to. Shutting down. Even if that's the case, you still have a peaceful, blissful time as you die.
Worst case scenario, your lights are going out and there's nothing else left, but you have a peaceful thought on your way out.
On your way out. That is a hope. And yeah, that is the brain protecting itself.
Somebody who has experienced some level of trauma, the brain can shut it out. There has been enough studies to show that someone experiencing a certain level of trauma will literally put it in a back door and lock it in their mind.
Mm-hmm. 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 Without a doubt.
Talking about going to the other side, as she had mentioned, in this kind of peaceful, loving feeling and this familiar feeling, that part, like you, intrigues me very much. I've always thought that side, whatever that side is, some call it heaven, some call it a parallel universe, other religions call it many other things. But I've always felt that that side is truly what we are and who we are. And this world,
without a doubt.
Yeah. And this world that we live in right now, this existence, I feel that this is an experiment. It's like when we go on holiday. Hey, listen, how about you go down to Earth for about 80 years? It's a different time, though. Last time you went, we were still running from dinosaurs. This time, their technology has advanced so much, and it'd be interesting to see. And you go, oh my gosh, that sounds so much different. But you already know before you leave. Before you leave, you already know. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. And that's the choice you make. Do you select the life you're going to live that we don't know about now, right? So you select, you say, all right, I want to be born here, this type of parents. I want to go through these struggles just to see how I react to them. And, I definitely want to get married. I want to have a few kids. So you start choosing all these things, right?
Well, now hold on. I'm going to stop you there. Do you think somebody would naturally choose, you know what? I'm going to starve myself in a impoverished nation and go without food, water, buzzards are hunting me while my little skeletal structure is trying to make it to the nearest water source.
Right. And you know what you're saying, it makes perfect sense. Would somebody choose that?
I don't think it's that cut and dry.
But we're not talking about somebody. We're not talking about a person.
Okay.
We're talking about another side that everything is everything you could want and you never need, and there's just nothing but joy and love.
All right.
So you go, what is that experience? Now, to us here, you know, I've always thought, like, once you get here for a certain period of time, as you're born and you come into this world for a certain period of time, you still remember for a little period of time where you came from, but you can't communicate about it. You're just an infant. You're just a toddler. Like, you can't say anything.
That's the genius of it.
That's the genius of it. So then you need to be taught all over again in this realm. And that's why we forget over a period of time, I believe, that these infants just forget. And now they have to be taught by other people playing the game that have been here a little longer.
What I want to say is very probably offensive, okay? Especially to people that would know me, family members, right? Really, I think we all need to be humble about it. And what I mean by that is a lot of people think they know. Well, you know, there's a heaven and a hell. You got to do this and that. And you're going to, you know what I mean? Like, they know. And I believe that everybody should take a second and go, you know what? I don't really truly know whether I'm an atheist, which, by the way, you and I have a great story about my next door neighbor.
About your next door neighbor.
Do you remember my next door neighbor?
Yeah.
My shoe basically went in my mouth.
Oh my gosh. Dude,
Remember that?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
What did you say again?
I basically said that I feel sorry for people who don't have a hope in the afterlife, like atheists. And what did he say? He looks at both of us. He says,
I am an atheist.
I am an atheist. I felt so bad. I am not an atheist. Okay. I hope for something. I'm not going to die on that hill, though. At the same time, are we just worm food? I get maybe. Yeah, sure. Because you've been through that experience and you've seen truth or a glimpse of truth, full truth, when you come back, probably if I were to give a percentage, I'd say it's pretty high. Everybody who's gone through that goes, oh, death. I'm not afraid of death anymore. I'm not afraid of that. That's cool. Actually, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. And there's a real peace from there on where they go, no, I'm good. I'm really good. This is exciting. And they live life with more meaning. They live life with maybe really a lot of ways. They live life quieter and contemplative and like helpful.
And I wonder if that is from their experience on the other side, or if it is, I almost died. I've taken every bit of what this is for granted. That stops now. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Josh, what's your take on all this?
We've gone so many different directions. I don't know which one to jump on.
Jump on one.
Yeah,
just jump on one. They're all fun. I mean, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, so let me ask you this. Do you believe that, somebody who experiences near death, when they have that experience, is it in their heads or are they going somewhere?
I believe they're really going somewhere. I don't think it's in their heads because I think we have evidence like with her. I mean, and it's kind of like with dreams. You can get into dreams where you have people who can tell the future. I've done that a couple of times. I mean, I believe there's absolutely another realm, a spiritual realm, to try and keep it generic, and that there is stuff that goes on outside our bodies. And sometimes we connect to it in our crazy way.
You wild and crazy guys.
This episode is sponsored by Advance Merch. If you're a brand, band, or business, Advance Merch can service all of your custom decorated apparel, design, and fulfillment needs. From in-house screen printing and embroidery to full-service e-commerce development and support, Advance Merch is a one-stop shop for all your custom merchandise. Visit Advance Merch for additional information and submit a quote request today. Mention Created by Human to receive 10% off your first custom apparel order. I'm going to be transparent here. I struggle with organized religion and I struggle with buying into all of it. So I question a lot. I read a lot. I study a lot, not only from a Christian standpoint, but from other standpoints as well, other religions as well. But then also I take all that and I try to make sense of it for me. And that's all I can do. And it doesn't bother me what anybody else believes.
I think this is all healthy, Todd. I think this is the way we all should live.
People are dying on a hill, that they say 100%.
That's right. That's right.
They are. They're dying on their hill.
They're dying on a hill with nothing they know about.
Nothing they know for certain.
They know nothing for certain and then die on it. And I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
I will give my humble opinion of what I've learned, but that's about all I can do.
And that's all we can do. I mean, we just continuously share experiences and wisdom. And it seems like we're in a consistent cycle of we tell our kids what we believe, and then they believe that and they change a little bit. And then they tell their kids what it's kind of an interesting pattern. So Josh, if you believe there is another side, we can call it heaven. In heaven, your belief would be that people are there waiting for us. Our loved ones that have passed away are waiting for us.
Maybe.
Okay.
I've heard that side, and I've also heard the theory that you're not going to have memory of this place once you go to the second place. But you're going to be fine with it.
Right. Yeah. No, it's very interesting that you say that. That's something that I have heard as well. So for some of these longer NDEs, where they say kind of like the reverse of what I was talking about of a baby being born here. They get there and they remember their wife, they remember their children, and it's slightly sad. The further they go down the tunnel, the further they get away from this world, the less concerned they are.
The layers of humanity drape away.
They do. And that's a great way. That's a beautiful poetic way to say it.
You know where I heard that once was a documentary on ayahuasca, and I never forgot it because that's basically a triggering of an NDE. People who have taken that and had like studies done on them. I know BBC did a whole documentary on it where they studied people, and they basically said a few quotes like that. They were only there for 15 minutes, but the layers of humanity and who they were stripped away, and they were there in that 15 minutes. They were there for what felt like an eternity or for thousands of years. And when they came back, it was, oh, I was only gone 15 minutes. Weird.
And also on an ayahuasca journey or trip, they also come back and they have that same exact feeling of this just being a temporary world.
Right.
It's so interesting because usually, let's be real, most people taking ayahuasca aren't your diehard, organized, religious people.
You know what? I disagree to a certain extent. I feel like
Really?
they are more religious and would probably go to like a religious ceremony, like say the Burning Man, and have a very freedom of religious experience.
That to me is not organized.
No, I know.
religion.
I'm
Like,
saying
we're
it's
not
very
talking-
flippant.
Right. We're not talking about your Baptists. Like your Baptists, most fundamental
Oh, it's
Baptists
definitely
are
not
gonna be
those.
like,
Yeah.
But that's what's fascinating about it. I think that's where I'm going with this. This other side, and there's multiple ways to access it. I guess, you can take ayahuasca. There's other drugs that can open up the pineal gland. So it's a way to get you to this other side. So some experience it with a near-death experience. Some experience it by taking something like ayahuasca. While they're there, they're having such a spiritual awakening where they may have not before. They may have not been spiritual at all before, but they're having such a spiritual awakening that the guy who's standing on the street corner with the sign saying, you got to believe and Jesus is coming back, is he having a spiritual awakening? I don't think that guy is.
I would say the percentages, no. Yeah.
Right.
She's more or less guilty and feels guilt and shame and want to get out there and do as best they can, make an approval in God's eyes.
Let's say that my take on it originally of it's kind of an experience. We live in this other realm. We say, what are we going to do? We're going to go down to earth. We're going to live there for 80 years. I'm going to choose all these things. And then you get here. And how awful is it if my theory holds weight? How awful is it that you got here and spent 60, 70 years standing on a street corner feeling bad? That you didn't atone enough when none of it meant anything. You're there just pointing fingers and...
Yeah. And so that's what I think is interesting about this, Todd, is that you have this fine line. We were talking about what is this then? Is it a test? That's what I would almost say it's right. We've talked about the word test before when it comes to our life. First of all, I would say to any kid out there struggling with anxiety or depression or any kind of suicidal thought, I would say this. We have been given an incredible opportunity for 80 years, potentially, maybe 100, maybe 109 if you're lucky, to look through 2 eyes, to hear through 2 ears, to smell through a nose, to have sentient conversations with our friends and our family. Don't take it for granted. This is incredible. We should be stoked about the odds that it took for us to get here just to have this podcast. And the problem is we don't do that, right? What do? We get caught up in bills and life and war and famine and all those things are, but I want to first of all say
overstimulated.
We're overstimulated, whatever the case is. But my thing is we still have been granted an incredible opportunity to see the third dimension. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And don't take that for granted.
Maybe that's where religion started to come into play.
Yeah.
In general was, hey,
That was my next point.
right. There's a way, instead of wasting your life, live it for someone else.
Exactly. Community.
Right? And that's hard to comprehend while you're here and you're going through it.
Enjoy one another.
So it's easy to turn to an organization and go, oh my gosh, yeah, I want to be a part of that and I want to let all this go. Big question mark in the sky. Would you need organized religion if we all just felt that way? But is that still part of the system? Is that part of the game? Hey, while you're there too, you still got to have some people remember you. Well, can't I just remember it? No. You can't just remember it. You need people to struggle with it because you're going to get back here and you're going to know and you'll be like, all right, yeah, that was interesting. But you want to have that experience of, I don't know.
I struggle with things, right? I like to have a couple whiskeys more than I ought to. I think that we ought to be careful with the choices we make, not just on a physical level. It's like, if you don't have your health, what have you got, right? You could have millions of dollars, but you're dying in a bed, who cares? And if it's always painful, that sucks. And so that's where our choices in life, the test of life is especially for humans, to just be careful and conserve. Don't just live it where you feel like you should just live it. I think you got to be very careful.
No, that's a great point, because the big question that comes up as well is that, if we don't believe in something and we don't have faith in something, that all we're going to have is a bunch of atheists running around, raping, pillaging, murdering, stealing, like that's all they're going to do.
That's going to get you in trouble, that statement.
Yeah.
They're nice people. They want to do right.
That's not what I'm saying.
I know.
What I am saying though, right. But what I am saying though is that's kind of the common misconception of, let's just say, a Christian versus an atheist. A Christian will think that an atheist,
does want to do that.
That does want to do that. That if you don't have something to live forward to or a God to please,
you may as well do it here now.
You might as well do it here now. Go off the rails and do whatever you want. But no, not an atheist thinks that way. They don't. That's the thing is, why would you want to do that? What most people want and what every baby wants and every child wants and every adult wants is just to be accepted and loved. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. And when we're not, we go off the rails.
It becomes about satisfying your appetites over trying to find some kind of mutual belonging with other people. You go from a very selfish way of living and you're trying to satisfy your own sensations, your own appetites, to going to actually wanting to have belonging, which means you have to start considering the people around you and fitting into some kind of niche or some kind of community, whatever that is. So you're kind of playing those two roles in life.
Yeah.
What do you think with Pam Reynolds' case here, Pam Reynolds' near-death experience? Do you think that it's legitimate, that what she came back with and said could be true?
Well, she said it looked like a toothbrush, and it looked like a toothbrush.
I think I've seen like 7 documentaries already where that's been the case, where the doctor goes, yeah, that did happen, and I don't know how she would medically know that. So I do think that Pam experienced roughly what a lot of people have, without a doubt.
Is it a legitimate experience?
People are clever. I give them that. I mean, we create all sorts of interesting scenarios and stories and books and movies, and our imaginations are fascinating. But the details that she provides, it's like, if she was faking it, I mean, you would think she would do something a little bit more entertaining. So, I mean, I believe it.
There are so many stories out there that you can begin to research and Google and YouTube, and they all kind of come back saying the same thing, which maybe a couple of them are really sensational, but on a whole, they're all pretty much saying what Pamela said.
You're right. A lot of these stories mimic almost identically to what Pam says. They left their body. They witnessed their body on a table. They experienced the sound around them. They heard doctors and nurses having conversations. They went to the other side. They met some family. Family said, hey, guess what? It's not your
time. We know your time. It's not now. Yeah.
Right. But it's funny, because on the other side, you would think, just saying it's not your time. That's what they all say.
I know, right?
Come back to they say it's not your time. Like, why wouldn't it be, oh, hey, you left pizza rolls in the oven?
By the way, invest in Apple. Invest in Apple.
Yeah. Hey, before you go, nothing gone. I missed it. But it is. It's always like, it's not your time. And they're never specific. It's like, hey, if you know that it's not my time, why? Don't tell me it's not my time. Tell me, hey, before you go, hey, real quick, before you go,
Stop
it's
eating
not your time
chips.
because, yeah, dude, I'm just telling you right now, you're going to develop an onset of something really nasty if you don't stop doing this right now. Like, that would be great information, but it's not your time.
But here's the thing, Todd. You can't mess with people's story. That's one thing I think is incredible about our life is our death. When you see a lot of stories about people's deaths, it's actually quite phenomenal. And you can't take that away from everybody's story. The way I die, it will have been the way I was supposed to go. It's amazing. You think about stories of people driving on the road and they're on the highway. All of a sudden, when you know it, a tire comes over the median, smashes into their driver's side, killing them instantly. That was appointed. Think about it. If they were 10 seconds early, 10 seconds later, they were there at the right time. And it was appointed. It was as if that was meant just for them.
What you said, it also goes back to what I said previously. You said they were appointed to die in that moment. It was already predetermined.
Yeah.
Could that go back to even kind of what I was talking about, where you made the decision beforehand, before you even got here? You said, all right, on this date, and then when it doesn't happen, and maybe it's not your time and they send you back, there's a little glitch in the system. Oh, shoot. Oh,
yeah.
You're not supposed to be here. Dang it, Bob, quit pressing buttons over there. We got an intern, Bob.
I just want to say, I hope my time going out is with me on Mars, right? And I get jettisoned out because I just saved the planet by putting my hand in this module, and then I go out and I'm flying, and I hit my head on the Mars sands, and I'm like, like this, and my eyes are bugging out of my head, and then oxygen fills the planet. I get up.
You bring Mars back.
And I go, holy crap, I think I programmed this in a scenario, and I don't know, I'm going to wake up here in about 10 minutes.
Do you think, though, before you start your journey here, when we're talking about when we're initially on the other side, we're about to come here and experience this life thing, do you think that you're there, Tim, you're there, and you're telling that story of, okay, guys, I've got the perfect death. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to be jettisoned out into outer space, land into Mars, then fill it with my lungs and breathe life into the Mars surface. And do you think this is somebody going like, nope, no, you're going to choke on a pretzel?
I think actually I could go out choking, because anybody who knows me, I choke a lot on different items. Like, what was it? A macaroon once with you in the room. I think I choked on a macaroon once. And you had to give me the Heimlich. Remember that? It was at the that we were helping out people.
I was pretending like I was giving you the Heimlich.
Oh,
I was just behind you.
Oh,
don't die on me, big boy.
Can I give a closing thought from Tim Nagle? Although I do like the sound of my voice. I will say, if we just realized, like just really sat there and realized, holy cow, wait a minute, we're all going to die. Let's just care about one another while we're here. Let's just love one another. Let's live in the moment. Enjoy it. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Why not just enjoy it? We don't need to have war over anything. Let's just live.
Tim, maybe that's not this game.
I know it won't ever get there. But that would be my coaching to all of us, is like, listen, chill out. We're all going to die. Just relax.
I'll be on your boat, Tim.
Thank you.
I'll go down the river with you.
With me? And it's a kind boat.
I'll be in your kindness boat.
You got to wonder too, when you get back, were you just playing a video game for an hour and a half?
Yeah, maybe you got chores to do.
That's what I'm saying. Like you were just like that afternoon, like we live an entire life here and it was an afternoon for you.
Oh, whoa, he's taking Tim Nagle off grid.
Oh, Tim Nagle's off grid. But that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's what your NDE is. You got off grid. And they're just like, dude, you can't. Oh my gosh. Oh, hey, Tim. Holy shit, Tim's here. Tim, this is your uncle. This is your aunt. You can't be here. It's not your time. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, I'll go back and play.
And I think too, what happened in 2022, I think a lot of people went offline because like no one was working. I don't know. I mean, I think everybody just kind of paused and took a break, but it looks like they're starting to come back now. Fun. So let's talk about the final death. It was 19 years preceding her remarkable near-death experience. Pam would die from heart failure at the age of 53 on May 22nd, 2010 at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. And that was it for Pam.
But in any case, she got to live 19 more years. Wow, random, but that was her story.
Yeah.
I take great peace
in
that just being what happened, and good for her. She lived it well. She got to experience something that not a lot of us will.
Let's play a little game here. Tim, you die tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight,
it's the night.
You die, and you know this. Tonight is the night.
I'm going to die.
You already know
it's going to happen.
Right? It's going to happen. There's no going back. What do you do for the rest of the day?
I think you hang out with your family, the ones that you love, right? I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing. I think that's what my dad did. My dad passed away from cancer, pancreatic cancer, when he was, it was 35. And my mom tells about his death. It's actually kind of cool. Like I hate to say it, but it is. He was surrounded by friends and family in the hospital room, and he basically drowned. Sorry to be graphic, but he basically drowned in his own blood because at this point, the cancer had just destroyed the center of his body. And so he basically just asphyxiated on his own blood and died. But while he was sitting in his bed, everybody was just talkative and having a great time with him and saying they loved him. We're going to miss you. And then it was as if he looked off in the distance, my mom would tell me, and he smiled and just went away. But think about it. He wasn't, trying to skydive or anything. He was just hanging out with those he loved. And they were hanging out with him and singing songs and holding hands with him. And wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. Josh, what would you do? Tonight is your last night. You're going to die. You know this. You've got a day to live. What do you do?
I would take ecstasy and find a mattress store and jump around on all the mattresses.
Okay, I might change my answer.
Yeah, I'm jumping on I'm getting high on ecstasy and jumping on mattresses with Josh.
I kind of want to do that.
Like you go to the store and you can just jump on all the mattresses. Like, you just jump around and, it's just like, it's just fun. And, they can't do anything with me because I'm about to die.
I mean, what do you care? Now, okay, so Josh, what you just said was my whole point of asking you guys this question. So now that you know you're going to die tonight, you've made some decisions. Josh is going to go have a blast, getting high, jumping on beds in a department store.
I would definitely try to take ayahuasca.
Okay, well, hold on. It's too late. Hold on.
I know it's too late.
Tim, you've decided that you're going to spend your time with your family and just soak in every moment before you go. Both answers, in my opinion, are 100% right.
Absolutely.
And here's where I wanted to go with this. Now that you know you're dying tonight and you've already made the decisions of what you're going to do, I'm going to tell you you're not going to die tonight. What are you going to change? What are you going to do moving forward that totally changes your life? Everything that you've always been scared of, everything that you've always wanted to do, that you've now said, well, oh my gosh, I was going to die tonight, but now I'm not. So what do you do with that?
Probably going to have to buy some mattresses for the ones I broke.
Yeah. Well.
Josh is in there just getting it. And then all of a sudden the guy's like, dude, it's tomorrow. Oh, man.
Can I get more ecstasy? Do you got any ecstasy?
Yeah, dude, you got any more X, bro?
I'll tell you my answer, Todd. I'll tell you what I do. Podcast in space.
Podcast in space. So for those of you that don't know, Tim's ultimate fantasy with this podcast, not in general, but with this podcast, is to be the first to do an official podcast in outer space.
And by the way, can I say, we want to have floating product all around. So whoever wants to help pay for this.
Here's the thing. If we officially do it and call it a podcast, then it's a podcast. Yeah. People have already been in space and had conversations and recorded them.
Right. But ours was a podcast.
Ours was called a podcast.
Created by human, gets so large. And so, I mean, we're like signing autographs at Comic-Con, things that we just never really thought. And then the next thing you know,
then Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, even Richard Branson, they're all in a fist fight to get us to fly on their craft to be the first to podcast in space.
We literally have to do a lottery system, like they draw the straws.
I think they fight to the death. Winner takes all.
They fight. You just fight to death. Okay.
Richard Branson's going to come in with like a beam that harnesses the sun's energy, and that's how he looks so tan all the time. But then he's going to reverse it to destroy the other two to get the rights for the podcast.
Bill Gates is just going to give Richard Branson and Elon Musk smallpox. I just hate to say it. I think he's monkeypox, one of them.
You think Bill Gates is going to give everyone monkeypox?
No, I don't think he's just going to give Richard Branson monkeypox.
So that Richard Branson doesn't get the rights to our podcast.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
He doesn't want to kill all of us. He just wants rights to our podcast.
Even Gates wants to get in on this.
Guys, we're getting pretty hot here. Even Gates wants in.
So Gates is now in. Do we got a Zuckerberg? Did I hear a Zuckerberg's in?
I mean, let's do it.
Podcast in space?
Let's do it. Come on, Zuck.
Okay.
If you're listening.
Zuck, get in on it.
I'll put a Facebook sticker floating around.
What happens if it's floating by and as it goes by the camera, it's upside down into the thumbs down?
Oh.
Just by accident. It's not what we even wanted. We didn't even want that.
We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post, guys. Wherever we individually stand on the life after death debate, whether it comes from the doctrines of an organized religious point of view or from just one simply being spiritual by nature, I believe that we can all agree. Consciousness is in fact something that bewilders us all. The greatest minds on the planet still have no idea what consciousness truly is. Maybe a universal awareness of everything, the ability to envision a conceptual idea and breathe life into the idea to manifest it into a physical reality? Who's to know? As my wife would say, we can't speak in absolutes when we don't truly know. For me, it's enough to make me wonder, what else could be possible? I think the answer is obvious. Anything. All right, guys. That's it. We're Finn. Guys, I would like to say goodbye to you all, but this isn't even real. Bye.
Bye.
How do we do it? We don't leave, right? How do we do?
We were saying byes, and you were like, I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Are you still recording?
I am, because you're supposed to say bye.
Bye.
You can't stay here. It's not your time. Be sure to subscribe to the Created by Human podcast. Leave us a review. Follow us on our socials at Created by Human. Head over to createdbyhuman.com for additional information. Sign up on our mailing list and check out our Created by Human swag. Does it just sound like gibberish? We'll be back next week with an all-new story that is sure to make you question, is it true or was it?